Hey everyone, thanks so much for joining us today for our Docusign 101 class. My name is Chelsea with Scott Leroy Marketing. So, a few things that we'd like to go over before we get started with our class today. So, we do have a chat box that you can put any questions that you have during the duration of the class, and I'm going to do my best at the end of class to get all of those answered for you. Now, we do also have a YouTube page, Scott Leroy Marketing, on YouTube. You can go check that out and in the search bar, type in any topics or details that you are looking for having to do with the KW command or KW technology platforms, and you should be able to find more specific detailed videos over there. So you can find that by just going to Scott Leroy Marketing on YouTube. Lastly, you can always email us at support@scottleroymarketing.com for any questions that come up, anything that we don't get answered today for you. And I just put that in the chat box for you as well. All right, so let's go ahead and get started with DocuSign 101. So if you are new to the DocuSign platform, it is a e-signature platform, and the whole purpose of it is so that you are able to electronically send out documents to your clients for signature. So it just makes it a very much easier, faster process with all of the documentation that needs to be signed back and forth. So where we will start is by going into our command system. So we're going to go to agent.kw.com. It's going to pull up our command screen as you see here. You're going to put in your username and your password, keeping in mind that the username is not case sensitive, however your password is. So just make sure to click on this eyeball if you need to see what these characters are, if you happen to be running into any issues. All right, so we're going to go ahead and click sign in. And now this is going to bring us into our command system. So the reason that we're starting off in command is because in order for command to connect to our DocuSign account, we need to make sure that it is connected within our settings so that the two systems are talking to each other. Keep in mind that if you do have a DocuSign account from either another brokerage or maybe you have created one on your own, it might not be compatible with the command system. So just send us an email and we can take a look at what is going on for you. But we do want to make sure that this gets set up and connected from the back end of command in order to be able to be used. So that being said, we're going to start off by going over to the top right corner. We're going to click on our name, and then we're going to come down into our settings. Now, when we click on settings, that's going to bring us to our integrations page. So this is going to show you all of the connected applications that you have available. So if we're taking a look on the right-hand side, you're going to see all of the names of the applications. The middle column is going to show you the status of whether it is connected or not. And then on the right-hand side, you have the ability to manage that connection. So we're going to go ahead and actually disconnect our DocuSign so I can walk you through this. Okay, so if you have not already connected your DocuSign, you are going to scroll down. It's actually going to be towards the bottom. You're going to see it right under digital signature and transactions. And over to the right-hand side, you're going to see a button that says connect account. So if we go ahead and click on that, you're going to see this page here that is going to have you put in the email that you would like your DocuSign documents to be sent from. Now, this is how you are able to set up your registration. Now, if you have been onboarded by us, we should have been able to set this up for you. So we are going to go, instead of going this route to send the registration email, we're going to click on login here because we already have an account. And I am going to, that is not my right email. Let me get my email. There we go. And then I'm going to click on log into DocuSign. So now we have a pop-up that's going to have us put in our password. Let's see, let's make sure that I have the right password. Perfect. Okay. So now if we scroll up, it's going to say that we are connected. However, there are a few more steps that it is not showing us because I have already been connected. So one of the things when you go ahead and click connect, it will then send you this email, or sorry, this verification to your email address. This is saying that Keller Williams is inviting you to join their account. You're going to click on accept the invite. It will have you put your password in again. And it should actually prompt you to come back into command at that point for you to then click authorize through command. So this button is going to change to authorize. You'll click on that and then it will have that connected for you. So just keep that in mind that it is going to send this verification email to you and it's just coming from Docusign. So if you're looking at your screen, it's just going to say you've been invited to join Docusign Rooms. You'll go ahead and click that accept invite. And then it will have you go back into your command to then authorize that connection. So once that has been taken care of, it's going to look like this. So it's going to be on the top of your connected applications. It's going to have the current status as connected, and then you will now have the ability to disconnect the account. So you're going to see that it is now connected. So now that we have gone over that, we are going to talk about the different ways that you are able to create an opportunity. So we do have two ways that we can go about this. So we're going to go back and just click on our homepage just to get back to our dashboard. Now, the two ways to create an opportunity. Over on the left-hand side, if you are not familiarized with these icons, keep in mind that you can click on this red KW box here. It's going to expand those icons so that you are able to see what they actually entail. Now, the first thing we're going to do is click on our contacts. And the reason that we're doing this is because you do have the ability to create opportunities through your contacts profile. So I'm just really quickly going to turn off our filter. Now, this is our contact database. We can either add a contact or we're just going to find an existing contact to use. So let's go ahead. I'm just going to type something in. Let's choose, we're going to choose this, this contact right here. So I'm going to go ahead and click on the name. It's going to bring me into this contact profile. So this is where I can see all of the back end details on the left-hand side. The right-hand side is going to indicate all of the activity that's associated with this contact. So if I wanted to go ahead and add an opportunity, I can see that opportunities is the second tab in. If I click on this tab here, it is going to, oops, sorry, I have a few people in the waiting room. There we go. So this is going to bring up all of the opportunities that are associated with this contact. So I'm going to go ahead and click on create opportunity. And that's going to give us the option to create an opportunity right from this page. So let's go ahead. You may not have this many this many market centers. You generally should have just one or maybe two if you happen to be an expansion agent. So we'll go ahead and click our market center opportunity. We'll go ahead and click listing, but of course you have the ability to choose either listing, buyer, landlord, or tenant. And then it will allow you to put in the client name, the opportunity name. We will have to put in the commission rate and then the opportunity phase and the stage. So anything that does have this red asterisk next to it, keep in mind that that is required in order to save the opportunity. So if you're running into any issues, just make sure that you have all of these filled out. So because we have these filled out, we're just going to go ahead and click, actually, let's put this in active. And our opportunity stage, we will do showing. We're going to click create. And you're going to see that now we have our, the second one down, we have created our opportunity. So now we're going to actually look at it from another way of how we can create our opportunity. So in order to do that, we can click on this red box again. This time we're going to go to the actual opportunities applet. So there is one that will bring you right into the opportunity section to be able to see your full pipeline. So now when we're looking at this, you'll see that it's broken down into listings, buyers, and leases. The way to create an opportunity is going to be the Create Opportunity button in the top right corner. Now, when we click on that, we're going to get that same exact page that we did within our contact profile to be able to create that opportunity. So because we've already created ours, I'm going to X out of this, and we're actually just going to find it right in our pipeline. So if I click on active, I can see that my opportunity is exactly where I put it. So it's in our showing. Now, when I click on this, this is going to bring us into the back end of our opportunity. Now, one thing that we're going to take a look at, so we'll come back to this in a little bit, but for right now, we're going to go over to our documents section. Now, when we click on documents, you're going to see that there's really nothing in here. The first thing that you will want to do when you are starting a new opportunity and wanting to start with the documentation portion is over on the left-hand side, you want to pick a checklist type. So if we click on this drop down, you're going to be able to see all of your options. Now, keep in mind, if you are seeing something different, this is dependent on the checklist that your market center has added to your market center's back end. So if you are not seeing all of these, that's okay. It is market center specific. So we're just going to click on our residential listing. And now it's going to pull up the checklist that our market center created. So as we're looking in the middle here, it's going to show you all of the different documents and their requirement. So as we're looking at it, you'll see the status of whether it's uploaded or not, the requirement of whether it's required, maybe it's conditional, maybe it's optional, etc. So you can see this tag. So of course, anything that has this red tag will be required to upload in order for you to be able to move on and submit that to your market center. Now we have our document section as well. This is going to tell you exactly what the document is that they are requiring. You will notice that this one in particular is underlined, indicating that it's an active hyperlink. So if you do click on that, it will open up this particular document for you to then create and download. Over on our next tab over is going to be the type. So it's just going to tell you the type of document that it is, whether it's a disclosure, an agreement, an authorization, etc. And then lastly, over to the right-hand side, we have the ability to drop our files and upload them into our opportunity. So you're going to notice that it is giving us the option to either drag a file over, or we can click browse and it's going to open up our computer files so that we're able to choose the document that we want to upload. So that is an option. However, we are here to learn Docusign. So we are going to talk about how we can connect Docusign so that everything is flowing together and you don't have to manually be putting things in different places. So in order to do that, we are going to click on the Start a Transaction button right up here. So let me scroll up a little bit. Now, one thing I do want to point out before I click on this, you will notice that the button is grayed out right now. This is indicating that a Docusign room has not yet been established with this particular opportunity. Now, if there was already a Docusign room for this opportunity, this button will then turn into similar to this button that you see up here, where it has that blue border and the white background. So that is one indication for you that you can tell if that has been created yet or not. So because ours is grayed out, we need to start that transaction. So we're going to go ahead and click on the start transaction, and it's going to give you two options, either DocuSign or Dotloop. So whichever one that you're using, I'm assuming that everyone here is using DocuSign since that's why you're in the DocuSign 101 class. So we are going to click on our DocuSign. Now that is going to open up your Docusign rooms. And again, this has already been established from the back end in our settings. So one other thing, let me go back into command. If that happens to be grayed out, that's another option that I forgot to mention. If this is grayed out, the start a transaction button, that means that your connection is not established in your settings yet. So you will have to go back to your settings, of course, by clicking on your name and clicking the settings tab in order to get that connection established. However, we did that, and as soon as we clicked on that, now you're noticing that this button has changed and it says go to transaction, indicating that it has already been created. So let's go back into our DocuSign now. This is what our DocuSign rooms looks like, and this is what it particularly is for this transaction. So if you do click on it through the transaction, it will bring you right into the room for that transaction. Now, if we were to go out of this, maybe we wanted to click on our dashboard. This is going to open up your dashboard for your whole account where you can see all of your room information. Now let's go back into, well, sorry, it's also going to show you your signing activity and any new documents that have been added either by your market center, your board, etc. Now we are going to click back into our rooms. And now you're going to notice that this is going to show you all of your currently active rooms that you have available. So ours are the same, which maybe I should not have done that. That's okay. So we will choose the correct one. But before we go specifically into our rooms, we need to make sure that our documents are actually attached to be able to come into the rooms. So there is another step that does need to be set up before this is all working seamlessly. And I promise you that it will, once it's all connected together, it really does make everything a lot easier. So in order to find our documents, we're going to go to our name in the top right corner. It's going to bring all of these drop downs for you. We're going to click on preferences. Now, when we do that, it's going to bring up additional settings for you that you can take a look at. We're not going to review any of this stuff necessarily today. However, you can see what your role, your access, offices, etc., anything that you want to add to the back end of your settings. Now, what we're going to talk about today is our integrations. So when we click on integrations, this is how you're able to integrate the different documents from your either your market center or your board so that it's all connected. So in order to do that, there's two things that we're going to look at. The first thing, we're actually going to skip down and we're going to look in this section here that says providers. Now, if you do not have anything in this section, this button is going to be blue and it will say add provider. This means that you have not connected anything yet. So you'll go ahead and click on that button, and then you'll be able to choose the forms that are connected to your command account. So it should populate based off of the market center that you are associated with. Now, if we wanted to add something else, I'm going to go ahead and click on this add provider button in gray, and this is what it's going to look like. So it's going to give you either the NAR or any of the other MLSs that are associated with your market center. So this is going to pull the information from your command profile of the market center that you are established under. So that's how we are associated with multiple market centers. So that's why we have multiple, but you may only have the NAR and maybe one other. But before we even click on any of this, we're actually going to click on this down here at the bottom that says continue to company forms without validation. Now, what this is going to do is this is going to pull in any specific market center forms that they have added that are market center specific. So if you have any specific market center disclosures, anything like that, it's not going to be related to the NAR or your board. So we will have to click on this. Now we have already added ours, so we are unable to even click on this at this time. However, if you have not done that already, you will have the option to click on this, and then it will look like this as you see here. So it's going to then say company forms, and it will have you as the owner. So that's indicating your company forms from your market center are now connected. Now, if we wanted to add anything else, we can click on add provider again. And then we're going to go ahead and click on, let's say, the NAR. Now, this is how you're going to be able to pull in the NAR forms. In order to do this, you're going to have to put in your NRDS number. Yep, exactly. So you are going to want to get that number, put that in here along with your last name, and it does have to match your real estate license. And then you'll find the specific association that you are associated with. Now, once you go ahead and do that, you'll click validate, and it is going to bring those forms in there for you. The other thing that we do want to mention is that we do have a zip forms option at the top as well. So for any market center that is still utilizing zip forms, you will be able to pull in forms from the zip form libraries and your transaction folders as well. So if we click on that, you'll see that you will have the option to turn off or on whether you want importing from zip forms. So what that means is if you have transactions that are already in your zip forms, they will import into your Docusign. So that way you don't have to recreate them. You'll go ahead and put in your username and your password, click save, and then it will sync your zip forms to your Docusign as well. So we're going to go ahead, once we have all of that set up and our forms are set up, we're going to go back into our rooms. And then again, we're going to see all of our awesome. Yeah. And this recording will be available. It's going to be put up on our Scott Leroy YouTube channel. So no worries. Yes, absolutely. We will get the recording out for everyone. So now that our forms are connected, we want to go back into our room. So let's see. I feel like no, I think it was the other one. I did a test one before this and I named them the exact same thing. No, maybe it was that other one. So that was not a good idea on my part, but it's all good. Okay, so let's try it with this one. So this is what the inside of our room looks like. Now, you're going to see the first tab. We have quite a few tabs up here. The first one being details. Now, this is going to just provide all of the detailed information about the transaction. So you can see on the left-hand side, we have the name, whether it's under contract, the location, listing details, offer details, anything else like that, closing details, all of this information. Now, over on the right-hand side, we have all of the information for the people that are involved in this transaction. So you can start putting the seller names if there's multiple, the listing agent name, which will pre-populate your information based off of your Docusign account. So you can see that some of this has already been put in, but you can add if there's another listing agent, and then the buyer's information as well. So this is a really good way to make sure that everything stays consistent so that when you are filling these forms out, it's just going based off of all of this pre-populated information so everything is consistent and we don't have room for additional errors. Now, if we did want to edit any of this information, we could do so by clicking on our edit button. When we do on that, you're going to see that now you have the opportunity to edit. So it's going to create the boxes. And as you can see, some of them are going to be drop down, some of them are going to be text boxes. So you can just manually put this information in. So you'll see everything is able to be updated. And then when you're done, let's see if it, yes, okay. So now at the bottom, we have our save button. So as soon as you do type something in, then this bar will show up on the bottom of your page, allowing you to save. So we're just going to hit cancel. The other thing is, let's go back into our opportunities. We're actually going to refresh this. And now we're going to click on our details. So now that we're in our details, you're going to notice that this looks a little different. And maybe if you didn't notice, the way that it is different is because we have these tags now that say synced. What this is indicating is that all of this information has been synced to our DocuSign account. So one thing I want to show you, let's go back into our rooms. I'm going to edit the listing name so that it's a little easier for us to be able to find this listing since we have two with the same name. All right, so now we're going to go ahead and click on save in the bottom right corner. It says the room has been updated, so our listing now has a new name. Let's go into our opportunities, and now we're going to click on sync transaction. This is going to refresh the transaction. We'll just have to make sure that, that is what we want to do. We'll click update to proceed. Let's go ahead and update that. And oh, it didn't update it. Okay, that's okay. All right, let's try it from this way actually. So let me see. 23 Main Street. Okay, perfect. Now let's go ahead and click save. Let's do it from this way. We're going to click sync transaction and we're going to click update. I did it the opposite way and I shouldn't have done that. Okay, so now we're going to click on refresh on this screen. And okay, my stuff is not working today. That's okay. So typically what should happen, this is what happens when you're teaching a live training. Sometimes the stuff just doesn't go the way it's planned, but it's all good. So what ideally is going to happen is this information is going to sync to each other. So anything that you update in either your DocuSigns or in your command, as long as you're hitting this sync transaction, it's going to make sure that the information is accurate. So this is extremely helpful if for whatever reason, let's say that maybe the close date changed, or you wanted to really update some of these key dates so that you can stay on top of your calendar, or you needed to add the attorney information. This information would then be synced to your DocuSign rooms so that when you're creating the forms and you're ready to send these forms out for signature, this information can get automatically populated into the correct box so that it really reduces the amount of manual labor that you have to do in the contracts, which of course leaves room for error. Okay, so now that we have gone over that, let's go back into our DocuSign. So we are in our DocuSign room. We have gone over our details. So we did go over our edit. We do have an action button as well. You do have the option to export your room summary if you wanted to have maybe a PDF file of all of the information about the opportunity. You can also close the room and you can also leave the room. So leaving the room would indicate that maybe you were either added to this room or maybe someone else has been added to the room, and you no longer need everyone to have access. You can leave this room. So that's what that would indicate. Now our next tab over is going to be documents. So this is the part that now, so I know we looked at this before, but now if you have added or connected your documents, you'll start to see these populate. So what we're noticing right now is all of our Market Center specific documents that are showing up here. So this is under, you'll see that it gets added to this folder. and it automatically gets added to all of the room docs, indicating that these are the required documents that my market center is requiring for me to send out when I have a new listing. So it makes it really easy just to, again, reduce the risk of error. So that it's sending all of the right documentation. Now, if we wanted to add any additional documents, we can click on our add button in the top right corner. From there, again, you have the option to add right from your computer or add from your zip forms if you're pulling your information in from your zip forms. However, because we're doing our DocuSign, we're going to click on our DocuSign forms. Now, when we click on that, it's going to pull up all of the documents that are associated with our account. And this is because of the connections that we have made on the back end of both our command and our DocuSign. So now all of these folders are, or I'm sorry, all of these documents are ready for you to just be able to bring into your rooms. So some of these you'll see are packets. So we have, the first one is going to be buyer's disclosures. Actually, let's go to listings since we're doing a listing. So now if we click on this, this is all of the listing disclosures that are required. And of course, you'll want to make sure that these are updated, like if COVID stuff is still available, but you know, you'll just have to kind of see what your market center is producing. However, you can also just use, so if we just go back to all, we do have a search bar as well. So you can go ahead and just search for a particular document. You'll see that we have a lot. You might not have as many. Again, we're connected to a lot of different market centers, so it can get a little messy in the back end. However, down at the bottom, one of the other things I wanted to point out is we have our libraries. So this is showing us all of the different libraries that we are connected with. So you're going to notice that some of them are MLS specific, some of them are market center specific. So you do have that option to see which ones you want to click on, and then it's going to show you those particular forms to add. Now, if we wanted to go ahead, let's stick with this market center since we already have one in here. We're going to click on this on this box on the left-hand side. Now, actually, before I do that, one thing is to keep in mind, anytime you see a white box in a header, that is going to indicate that it's going to select all of the documents that are below it. So just keep that in mind. If that's a scenario where you need to add all of these, you would do it by clicking on this box. Now we're just going to we'll click on 2 of them. It's going to tell you up in this tab at the top which 2 that you have selected. And then we're going to click on Add Selected. Now you're going to see that our new forms have been added to our rooms. So if we wanted to then take a look, you're going to see, like right now it just has these images. You may have to just refresh your page and then it's going to pull up. There you go. Now we're actually able to see what the documents are. So you can kind of, make sure that it's the right one. We're going to go ahead and click on this document. And it's going to bring it up into our DocuSign room. So now we have the ability to actually make edits to this form. I don't think there's too much on this form, but anyway, you're going to see that you can click in the boxes and you should be able to type anything in. Now, this is really more this is not the portion where you are going to be signing or adding anyone's name. So this is really more for just being able to add any, like if you wanted to just really quickly add some X's, not needed for this transaction, like any like quick notes that you do need to add, you can do that in this section. And then we'll just go ahead and click save and close. You do also have another opportunity to edit the document. So if you know that all you need to do is sign, you don't even have to necessarily click on that. I just wanted to show you that that is an option to just directly edit the documents within this section instead of having to go into the signature portion of it. So that is one way to edit them. Now, if we go back up to the top, our next tab is going to be people. So if we click on this, this is going to show you all of the people that have access to this particular room. Now, yours is not going to have this many people. Again, we have a lot of people on the back end who, just because this is a test account, so it does make it a little different. Now, if we do scroll down, you're going to see that we are automatically associated with this room. We are the agent owner. Now, if we click on these three dots, it's going to give us a little bit of, or it's going to give us a few options. So we can check out the contact information, see what our access is, the side and the room role, and then our history. So this could be particularly useful if you have other people associated with the room and you want to check out this information about them. Now, if you're looking to add another person to the room, ideally you do want to have your MCA, the clients, maybe like whoever is involved with the transaction, you'll want to make sure that you're adding them under people. So we can go ahead and click invite. You'll add their email, their name, their first name, their last name, the side of the transaction that they're on. So maybe you wanted to add the buyer's agent, and then we'll click on invite. It's not going to allow, let me see. I don't believe it has you add the room role until they've already accepted. Oh, there we go. Okay. So once you do have this information filled out, it will allow you to then access this room role. So we can choose whether it is an agent or owner. Maybe it's a former agent who has been removed from KW, a client, or a vendor. So you can choose whichever one that is. And then you'll go ahead and click invite, and it will send that invitation for them to be able to join your Docusign room. Now, if we move over into the envelopes portion, we are going to go ahead and click on create a new envelope. So this is one way where we can then upload our files. You can click on the upload, you can add rooms documents, you can browse, or you can use your template. So we're going to click on our rooms documents. And then I'm going to go ahead and just click on all of the documents that we wanted to add to this. Let me add we'll do a listing agreement. Okay, and a seller's disclosure. We're going to go ahead and click on add selected. And it is going to add the documents. Okay. Yeah, this doesn't like me today. That's okay. All right, let's try it a different way. We're having some Docusign issues today, but that's okay. That's all right. Okay, let's try it this way. So we're going to select the documents that we want to include in our envelope. And then you're going to see that there's all of these different icons up at the top. If you hover over this pen, it's going to say create envelope. So we're going to go ahead and click on the create envelope. We are going to choose the recipients. And of course, we would have added our buyers under our people, or sorry, our sellers under people so that they would show up here. Let's go ahead and click continue. And let's hope it works this time. There we go. Okay, perfect. So it added our documents in. So we can see all of the documents. Now, you do have the ability to rearrange. You can click on a document and you can start dragging and dropping if you wanted it to be in a particular order. So this is especially useful if you wanted to send out maybe your disclosures prior to an actual listing agreement, etc. So it is in the right chronological order. that makes more sense for them to understand the process. So that's how you can rearrange the order. Now, if we are going to add recipients, let's just say, okay, we're just going to add myself. Oh, it did not include my name. There we go. Now, over on this right-hand side, you're going to see that there is an option here that we can click on this drop down. This is indicating that we need to sign the document. This is an in-person signer. Receives a copy. This could be maybe if you need someone to sign off or make sure that you're sending out the correct documents, such as maybe a team leader or any market center staff. You can just make sure that they receive a copy of the envelope that you are sending out. Someone that needs to view the document. You can specify certain recipients. You can allow them to edit. You can allow them to update recipients, or you can have them sign with a notary. So there is a lot of different options here. Typically, the most common ones are going to be needs to sign and receives a copy. So we're going to stay with needs to sign. This next one is going to allow you to customize if you wanted to include a personal note or add an access code. So that's really your option if you wanted to include something like that, but it's definitely not necessary to send. And then you have your trash can as well. So if I decided I wanted to remove this recipient, I could just click on this and it will remove them. Now, if I wanted to add another, I don't know why it keeps having my name disappear. That's okay. If I wanted to add another recipient, let's say I wanted to, I had to add another seller that I didn't already know about, for whatever reason. I'm going to click on add recipient. And this time I'm going to, let's do seller test. LeroyMarketing.com. Okay, perfect. Now we are going to leave his the same, so he just needs to sign it. If I wanted to set a signing order, so you're going to see this up at the top. This applies, or makes sense rather, when you have multiple recipients that are going to receive an envelope. So what that means, if I click on that, now you're going to see that there's numbers associated with these recipients. What this means is that in this order that we are currently looking at, Chelsea would receive this document first, sign, do everything that she is required, and then it would move to the seller. So, as an example of how you can utilize this, this is extremely helpful if you wanted to send this to yourself to sign and then send it to the seller and then send it to the buyer's agent. So it just automatically is being sent. When one person fulfills their role of this envelope, it will just move automatically to the next. Now, if we just did not determine the signing order, it's just going to send this envelope to everyone at the same time and everyone can sign, which is also fine. It really just depends on the situation. The way that you don't want to do that is if you're also adding it to a buyer or sending it to a buyer's agent, it's not going to make sense to send it all at one time because the buyer's agent is going to, and this is all hypothetical. I guess it would make more sense if the roles were reversed and the buyer's agent was sending it to the seller, but just in keeping with what we're working with, like it wouldn't make sense for the other agent to receive documentation that hasn't been signed fully by your clients yet. So that is when the signing order would come into effect and make sense for your transaction. But if you're just sending it to two sellers, you can just send it to them at the same time, and then you'll get that notification once everyone has signed the document. Okay, so now that we have gone over that, at the bottom we have the ability to add a message. This is just going to allow you to edit the email subject and the email message. So sign at your earliest convenience, please. Thank you. And then we'll go ahead and click next. So once we click next, this is where we are going to, we have the ability to update this document and put in the different information that we need to make sure that this gets filled out correctly. So you're going to see some of the information auto-populated. We have our name as the listing agent because it is under our room and we've assigned ourselves as that name. So that's why that is already auto-populating. Now, to make it easier on our clients, because they don't know this information, we can just start typing this in. This is going to be a sale. This is for 123 Main Street in Orlando, Florida. I don't know what the zip code is. Listing price. I think I need another 0. Okay. All of the information that you'll put in here. Now, our second page, you're going to notice that it started to auto-populate. Yay, awesome, so that you don't have to do this because it would be a headache. This form already has the initials put in there for you, so we don't have to do anything here, which is really great. But maybe we already put our comment in that this is not needed. So if we needed to delete this, we could click on this initial and then we could go ahead and click delete, or we can just click delete on our keyboard. And you'll see that it removed that initial because that is not needed for this transaction. So whatever you need to do to make adjustments, however, you're going to see that this requires all of these initials. So from the seller's side, this document is just going to have them click a button and their initial is going to fill in at all of these places. Now, as I scroll down, okay, we don't have any places for a signature. That's okay. So let's say I had to add something to this form. Over on the left-hand side, we're going to see all of the standard fields that we're able to add to this document. So the first one being signature. Most of these documents, of course, that we're sending are going to need a signature. You'll want to make sure that you click on signature and you're going to drag it until it gets to that signature line. And it's going to indicate that the signature is required right there. Now, if we wanted to initial, let's say we needed to add it somewhere else, we'll go ahead and drag our initial over. The date, same thing, just dragging the date over. Now, if the initial is not necessarily needed, they had the option. So let me remove this. As an example, let's say they had the option to choose whether they wanted an inspection report or a title commitment, and I know that doesn't make sense, but we're just going with it. You're going to see that they have the option here to initial. So what I mean by that, if I click in this box and go over to the top right corner, you're going to see that it says required field, and this box is not checked off. That's indicating that they're not required to initial here. Now, if it was required, they had to check off that they wanted an inspection report. We would click in this box, and now you're going to see it's filled out like that. So this is the biggest difference to keep in mind. If you see any information that is filled in with this background color, it is indicating that it is a required field to be filled out. Now, as all of these initials, you can see they all have a white background. That means that it's not required. So it's going to give them the option to initial it, but if they don't, they're still able to send the envelope forward. So just keep that in mind. Now, some of the other things we see over here: name, email, company, title. You also have the option to add text box. Maybe if you needed to add, a note or something, you can click in the text box, and then over on the right-hand side, you're going to see you have the ability to start adding text in this box. We'll click out of that. We can then also click up here. It's not a required field. They don't have to do anything with it. It's just a note. So we're going to uncheck that. And then we'll go ahead and check read only. That's going to indicate that, it's just something for them to take a look at. So anyway, all to say that everything on the left-hand side is just all of the fields for you to make those edits to your document. Now, if we are scrolling up, everything looks good. We have all of our information in here and we're ready to send it to, actually, sorry, before we do that, I wanted to show you how you can add another signer. So if I click in the top left corner, you're going to see my name is up here. We do have our seller now, the other person who is associated with the room, in our dropdown. So if I wanted to change and look at this from the perspective of the seller, I can click on this, and now let me scroll back down to the bottom. I'm going to drag the signature over and you're going to see that it's a new color. So this is indicating the one signer is going to sign in this section. The other signer is going to sign right here. So that's how you can differentiate and put multiple signatures on the same page. You'll just want to make sure that when you're adding things, so if, the seller had to initial all of this, we would then have to add these initials next to this one. So this can get a little bit manual. Um, but anyway, you can see that I'm just dragging and dropping to make sure that my seller is also initialing all of this. So we'll drag our date over, etc. Now, if I click on this again, let's say I made a mistake, I can go ahead and click on Edit Recipients. And it's going to bring me back into that recipients page for me to either change this up. I can add another recipient. I can change what is required of the particular recipient, etc. So maybe I just wanted this person to receive a copy instead. It's going to tell me that that we could do that. We can make the seller just receive a copy. However, in changing their role, it's now going to delete all of the fields that we just added because they're not required to do anything with this document. They're just receiving a copy of the completed document. So that is how you can go ahead and add and edit your different recipients. Now, in terms of striking something out, I will mention that really quickly because we have a few minutes left. If you're going back into something and you need to make an update to a contract, let's say, and you need to strike through something, you can click on this drawing field right here. So we're going to click on that. Let's say I'm going to put it over this box. And then what I would do is I am going to have this under my own name so that when it sends it to me, I have the ability to use my cursor and just strike through that information. Of course, anytime you're striking through, you'll have to initial it. So then you'd also want to add your initial so that everyone is initialing that there's been a change to the document. So we'll go ahead and click send. And it's taking a second. Okay, so it was able to send that document out. You're going to see in our envelopes now that this is telling you the status of this current envelope that we've sent out. So it's saying that it needs my signature. So if I wanted to go ahead and sign, it's going to tell me the recipients. So this is our seller has received the copy. We're going to go ahead and click sign. I'm going to click continue. I'm going to click on start. So it's going to have this start button in the top left corner. And it's going to bring me exactly down to what I need to do. So you can see here, it's required for me to draw. Actually, let me clear. We'll choose red. We'll choose our bigger line. And then you're going to see that I can literally just drag my mouse and, maybe make it look a little nicer than that. However, we'll click save, and now you're going to see that that has been cleared out. So now I can click on initial. Sorry, I'm going to click on that box, and it's going to have me confirm my name and my initial with a preview of what it's going to look like. Now you can select the style that they're requiring, or you can draw or upload your own based off of your preferences. We'll click on adopt an initial, and then you'll see that it's just going to have me start clicking on all of these. I'm going to sign. I'm going to click on all of these, but again, it's telling me that these are optional, so they're not required. I'm not going to click on those. And then I'll click on finish. And now I got that green banner saying, congratulations, your document has been completed. So now we have our completed document in our Docusign. So now when we go into our opportunities, let's go ahead and click on our refresh button. We're going to click on our documents. And now we have the ability to attach our files right from Docusign. So it's going to now give you that option. See how now this has changed, whereas prior we only had that button to say upload from your computer. Now we have this drop down, and it's coming from our room documents. So if we click on this drop down, it's going to provide all of the documents that are in our room. So of course you'll want to make sure that they are complete. This one, of course, it says we have our certification that this has been completed with Docusign. So we're just going to add that. And I mean, none of this stuff is accurate. That's why I'm getting errors. However, there you go. That's how you will add your document. And once it's successful, you'll get that green banner again, and it will be in there ready for you to then be able to submit it to your MC once all of the required documents have been added. And of course, the last thing I will leave you with is just to go back into that transaction. You'll just go ahead and click the Go to Transaction button, and it's going to bring you right back into that DocuSign room. All right, so I know that that was a lot of information. Thank you all so much for joining us today for our DocuSign 101. This has been recorded and will be up on our YouTube page later today. So feel free to go to scottleroymarketing.com where you are able to check that out. And as always, you can email us at support@scottleroymarketing.com with any additional questions that we were not able to get to today. Thank you all so much and have a great rest of your day.